What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another Battlefield 6 gun guide. In today's episode, we're going to be diving deep into the stats of the SL9 SMG, and then toward the end of the video, I'm going to be sharing a couple excellent attachment combinations to try out. Now before we get into it, you might notice some of the gameplay here is going to be against bots, and that's simply because something seems to be broken with the matchmaking, at least during the times of day where I record my gameplays. And at the moment, for me, for some reason, it's hard to even find matches without having a ton of bots filled in there. But I didn't have any SL9 gameplay saved up on my hard drive, and this is all the game is giving me right now. And starting it off, as always, let's have a look at our raw power potential. And when it comes to our rate of fire, this is on the slower side for an SMG in this game at 674 rounds per minute, and it's going to be a 4 to 8 shot kill depending on your range. And what this means for our time to kill potential is up close, it's not very good for an SMG. It's 267 milliseconds. That's not a completely unusable time to kill. It's just simply not as good as any of the other 4-shot kill SMGs in the game. So that will be an area that holds you back, and this really gets exaggerated as you push the ranges out. Once we get to an 8-shot kill, our time to kill value here is 623 milliseconds, which is by far the slowest in the SMG category. Now, of course, in Battlefield, time to kill isn't everything, so don't write this gun off completely yet. Next, let's have a look at our damage ranges, and as you can see, we have the exact same damage range drop-off points as all of the other SMGs, with the one exception being the MP7, or PW7A2 as they call it. Next, when it comes to our muzzle velocity, this is actually not bad for an SMG at 510 meters per second. It's the third best in the SMG category, so that will allow you to handle gunfights a bit better at those mid-ranges relative to many of the other SMGs. Then for hipfire, it's got standard hipfire for an SMG. However, with that slower rate of fire, this just means it's quite unforgiving for any missed shots. And when hipfiring, obviously the odds of missed shots are going to increase, and therefore I don't really like hipfiring with this gun unless I'm close enough to the target that I just feel very confident that I'm not going to be missing, or if I just find myself in a desperate situation where I simply don't have time to aim down sight. As for the next important characteristic here, let's have a look at recoil, and this is the area where the SL9 really shines. As you can see here, there is very little recoil. In fact, I do consider this to be the most accurate SMG in the game, because we can see there's essentially zero horizontal recoil. It kicks straight upward, and while it does start to spread out a little bit toward the top end of the recoil plot if you hold down the trigger for too long, even then, it's really not that much spread. And the total magnitude of vertical recoil is also quite low, so it doesn't climb very quickly on you. It's super easy to control this recoil, and as a result, I feel confident, at least recoil-wise, challenging gunfights at mid to longer ranges, no problem with this gun. And that's really where this gun tends to shine. It's not about time to kill, it's about the consistency at which you're able to hit your shots at mid to longer ranges. Next up though, let's have a look at our handling stats, and across the board, they're just standard for an SMG. There's nothing out of the ordinary here whatsoever. And that's a good thing, since SMGs have good handling stats by default. And it's the exact same story with our mobility stats. We just have standard SMG mobility here. And this just leaves us with some REDSEC stats. Against 2 armor plates in REDSEC, this gun is going to be an 8 to 15 shot kill, which isn't out of the ordinary for a lot of the SMGs in the game. However, again, we do have that slower rate of fire. And this means our time to kill potential is pretty bad for REDSEC. Up close, we're killing in 623 milliseconds. Which isn't great for an SMG up close. And then at really long ranges, we've got a pretty terrible time to kill for REDSEC at 1246 milliseconds. And at that point, even though this gun's very accurate, I still can't really justify using this gun at super long ranges because that time to kill is simply too slow. Now, at mid ranges, you could probably find some success with the SL9, but overall, I wouldn't consider this to be a very good gun in REDSEC at all. And now that we've got all of those stats out of the way, let's get into a few excellent attachment combinations that I like using with the SL9, and the first one is my all-arounder. Now with this, we're using the OSA 7 optic, that's just my preferred close quarters optic. We have the CQB suppressor, so we can stay off the radar, and this one doesn't hurt our hipfire at all. I know I'm not going to be planning on hipfiring a lot, but I certainly don't want to make hipfire worse if I can avoid it. For our barrel, we're using the heavy extended barrel, which improves our spread a little bit as well as our muzzle velocity, and that's definitely going to help at a distance where this gun tends to excel for an SMG. For our underbarrel grip, we have the factory angled grip, largely because this just doesn't have any negative impacts on the gun whatsoever. It slightly improves our recoil, which this gun doesn't really need, but it also helps with our aim down sight time, and we actually have a very exceptional aim down sight time here at just 133 milliseconds. Then for our magazine, we just have the standard 30 round mag on this. We also have the mag catch to slightly improve our reload time. And then, interestingly for this one, I'm using the frangible ammo, which I don't often use, but with a gun like this, I really like the frangible ammo because if I'm challenging somebody at a bit of a distance, I can get a few shots on them, and now they're gonna have a very slow healing time, which will often allow me to close that distance and finish off the kill. So I'm not relying on that raw time to kill potential so much as just hitting some shots and forcing them into cover and then putting the pressure on them. So overall, I really like this build with the SL9. It's super accurate, excellent handling stats, pretty solid velocity value for an SMG as well, and it definitely excels in those mid-range situations. Next though, I wanted to share a bit more of a niche build that's just kind of fun to use. And this is what I like to call my pocket LMG build. One interesting thing with the SL9 is we can have a 60 round mag. Unfortunately, it takes 55 of our attachment points, which is a lot. So that's why we are getting into the niche territory here. We're not creating the most balanced build possible. We're just creating an interesting build. But in combination with that 60 round mag, we're using the standard ammunition, the OSA 7 optic, the standard suppressor, and then finally, once again, that heavy extended barrel. And with this, it's just interesting to have that really big magazine capacity. You can treat it kind of like a mid-range LMG. Sure, it doesn't have the time to kill potential you'd expect out of an LMG, but you've got the handling and mobility stats of an SMG, so you have those benefits there that the LMGs don't have. And while it's not my preferred build to use, I would rather use the first one more often than not, it's just a fun change of pace having that 60 round mag. And there we have it. That's going to wrap it up today's gun guide on the SL9. And when it comes to my thoughts on this gun, this is one of those cases where if you look at the gun on paper, especially relative to other 4-shot kill SMGs like the MP5 or PW5A3 for instance, or the SGX, it does seem like it would be hard to justify using this over those because those are also pretty accurate SMGs that can handle themselves just fine at mid to longer ranges while having a noticeably better time to kill potential. So why wouldn't you use those over this? And sure, if I'm playing in a highly competitive match and I'm trying to perform at my absolute peak, then yeah, I'm going to be choosing an MP5 or an SGX. But in saying that, when I actually play with the SL9, I just like the way it feels. I enjoy using this gun in the game. Obviously, you've got to play it right. You don't want to get into too many really close quarters situations, since you'll be outgunned by many others in the game, but as a solid mid to somewhat longer range SMG, I find it quite enjoyable to use and it just feels good, even though I can't really back that feeling up with stats. Now, of course, those are just my thoughts on this gun, and I'd love to hear what you guys think about the SL9 in those comments down below. You guys agree with me? Do you think this gun feels better than the stats would suggest? Or maybe not. Do you guys think there's just not much reason to use the SL9? Also, if you guys have any suggestions for future episodes, I know I have been seeing a lot of suggestions for marksman rifles. I will be getting into those soon. It's just going to take me a little while to unlock some attachments on those since I don't really like using DMRs all that much. It just doesn't suit my typical playstyle. So I will get to them. There's just some back-end work to be done first. But please let me know in the comments which gun you'd like to see me cover next. And if you guys have missed any of the previous episodes, I will leave a link to the playlist in the description of the video. If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated. And don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.